Let's go on a trip for our wedding anniversary. You're always working so hard and we deserve a treat. Exactly. For our first wedding anniversary, I went all out and booked a room at a luxury hotel frequented by celebrities. I did this solely to make my husband happy, but it turned out to be the catalyst for everything that followed. Rewind to a year ago. I, Chloe, was 28, and my husband Logan was 26. We got married without dating, what you might call a 0-day marriage. We met on a dating app, which I joined on a whim after having a few drinks. I was initially against dating apps. 90% of 28-year-old women's meetings are about beauty and romance. At 28, conversations with my girlfriends were mostly about beauty and relationships. It seemed like everyone was getting married and I was getting sick of people flaunting their happiness on social media. Then, one of my friends started using a dating app. I was skeptical but intrigued. The stories about the unknown world are interesting, and the drinks go well. The more I heard, the more interested I became. So I joined the app while a bit tipsy. The next day, when my hangover finally wore off, I was shocked. My inbox was flooded with messages. Since I've started this, why not have a little fun? That's what I thought as I replied to some messages out of curiosity. I chatted with a few people, but conversations with strangers usually fizzle out. The only person who caught my interest was Logan. After about a month of back and forth, we decided to meet. Maybe because we'd been talking every day, meeting for the first time felt like catching up with an old friend. On the first day we met, Logan said, "Let's date with the intention of getting married." I had a feeling it would come to this. Of course, I had my doubts, but I went with it. Since we were considering marriage, we quickly arranged a family meeting. Looking back, I was definitely caught up in the moment. My parents were shocked, but they were happy about their usually unromantic daughter's sudden announcement. Then came the family meeting at Logan's house. In hindsight, I should have sensed something was off. "Mom, I brought home my future wife," Logan announced, clearly excited. I felt a bit embarrassed, but Logan's mom, Grace, and his sister, Lily, came out with the same level of enthusiasm. When I greeted them, "Nice to meet you," Grace said, "Absolutely. Nice to meet you too. Let's drop the formalities. We're becoming family after all." I felt happy, thinking what a wonderful family they were. The tension quickly melted away, and it felt like we'd known each other for years. Just when I thought it was time to leave, Lily asked, "So, how much do you make a year? We're family now, no secrets, right?" I was a bit taken aback by the sudden intrusive question. Logan jumped in, "I've just changed jobs, so I'm making an entry-level salary. But she's been a nurse for 8 years, so she makes twice as much as me." It was true, give or take. I didn't want to get into details, so I just laughed it off. Grace then said, "Wow, you're rich. What a fortunate marriage," and patted Logan's shoulder. He seemed proud for some reason. I felt a bit uneasy, but didn't think too much of it at the time. Logan's dad had passed away 5 years ago. They were living off Lily's part-time cleaning job and Grace's pension. Apparently, Logan was also contributing from his modest salary. Grace then asked, "So, where will you live? In an apartment?" I replied, "Actually, I bought a condo last year thinking I might not get married, so we're planning to live there." Lily responded, "You own a condo? Must be nice being rich. Good thing you're getting married. You should thank Logan." I quickly said, "No, I financed it fully. The mortgage isn't much different from rent. I'm just as surprised as you are about this sudden happy development." Grace then said, "We'll be counting on you from now on. We might need your help with a few things. Let's all share as a family." The word share made me feel a bit uneasy, but since it was our first meeting, I didn't press the issue. "Thank you. I look forward to your guidance if there's anything I need to improve." With that, I left for the day. Neither of us likes to be the center of attention, so we skipped a wedding ceremony and just filed the marriage paperwork. Given my job, I rarely wear a ring, so a cheap one was fine. Of course, there was no engagement ring. The proposal wasn't what I dreamed of, but I accepted that this is how it goes. After getting married, we both continued to work hard. I was in charge of the finances. I started saving bit by bit, creating a small cushion for our lives. However, an incident occurred after 6 months of marriage. I noticed that $2,000 had been withdrawn from our account a few days earlier. The only person who could have done it was Logan. I confronted him that night. "Did you know $2,000 was taken from our bank account? If you didn't, we need to contact the bank." Logan looked startled for a moment, but quickly became defiant. "I lent it to my mom because she said she needed it. It's just a loan, what's the big deal? It's my money too." I was furious and shot back. "Why would you do that without telling me? We could have discussed it. Yes, it's your money, but it's also mine. When will it be paid back?" Logan retorted, "Who cares? She's family. She won't run away. You're really annoying about money." Logan always gets cocky when we argue. Frankly, it's exhausting. But I had a suspicion. I'd seen Logan's mom tell him she'd won $300 on a slot machine, so I figured she was gambling. They're not struggling that much financially. They own their home, and there's a pension and Lily's part-time income. They're not concerned about appearances, so they usually wear the same clothes, and eat instant food because they don't like cooking. But the $2,000 incident changed something in me. Until then, all our savings were joint, but I contribute more. From then on, I decided to save the extra money separately. Still, I thought Logan was fine as long as the in-law situation didn't come up. He was working, after all. Then came our first wedding anniversary. We're usually far from extravagant, but I thought we could splurge a bit for our anniversary. I was excited to announce a surprise trip when I got home, but Lily was there. She's been coming over frequently lately, eating dinner and leaving. I was starting to feel stressed about coming home to find Lily there after a long day of work. In hindsight, the timing for announcing the trip was bad. I was probably too eager to share the news about the hotel reservation I'd worked hard to get. Logan's eyes lit up when he heard about the trip, but the person who reacted even more was Lily. "What? Is it that hotel they show on TV? That's not fair. How did you manage to book a luxury hotel?" I confidently said, "So, we've never been on a trip just the two of us, so we decided to splurge this time. I was glued to the computer on the day the bookings opened. The slots fill up in an instant, so it was nerve-wracking," I shared. My sister-in-law retorted, "Wow, how unfair of you. Just because you're a nurse and can go on trips any time doesn't mean you should. My mom and I struggle to make ends meet. We should be the ones going on this trip. Consider it an act of filial piety and give it to us." I had forgotten, but my sister-in-law loves to travel even though she claims to be broke. She has the time because she works part-time and takes local trains to go anywhere. Even worse, she's a habitual fare dodger, getting off at unmanned stations. She shamelessly brags about it. I honestly don't want anything to do with someone who acts like this. There's no way I'm giving up our trip to her. I firmly refused. "Absolutely not. We've been saving up for this trip. Logan works hard. We haven't even had a wedding ceremony, let alone a honeymoon, so we're splurging this time." Sister-in-law, looking displeased, said to Logan, "You married an awful wife who can't even appreciate her in-laws. This is what happens when someone in the family marries a weirdo. You should divorce her, just like I did." Logan looked down and said nothing. That made me even angrier. Sister-in-law, feeling uncomfortable, muttered, "Such an arrogant daughter-in-law," and left. Logan looked puzzled as he watched her leave. The excitement for the trip was ruined. We went to bed that night in an awkward silence. I usually feel better after sleeping on it, and I had no intention of dwelling on yesterday's tension. But then something unexpected happened. The next day, Logan said something unbelievable when I got home from work. I want to go on the trip with my mom and sister, just the four of us. I couldn't comprehend what he was saying. I was, of course, against it. I had noticed Logan's phone buzzing with texts late into the night. I'm sure sister-in-law and my mother-in-law had been filling his head with nonsense. Logan said, "I never thought you'd be so heartless. Marriage is about families coming together, not just individuals. If you're going to be like that, then you don't have to go. Am I wrong?" He's completely wrong. I get the family connection, but that's not the point. He must have been manipulated by his family since last night. We couldn't agree, and the conversation went nowhere. I was saddened that a trip meant to bring joy had led to this. The next day, with an awkward atmosphere, I came home to find mother-in-law and sister-in-law there. Mother-in-law said with a smug look, "Oh, welcome back. We've settled the trip issue. Stop fighting. The trip will be for me, my daughter, and my son." I was too shocked to speak. I asked Logan, "This makes no sense. What happened? Explain." Though I doubt any explanation will satisfy me. Logan said, "It's just as my mom said. I told her about our recent issues and she came up with a solution. I'm going, you're staying. That's it." I finally lost my temper. What? That's not a solution at all. Why are you guys even going on a trip? Are you all out of your minds? 3 of you and not one sensible thought among you? Logan explodes with anger. "Watch your mouth. Your job is to work and bring money home. That's your only purpose in life. You're just a leftover nurse. That's why we got married. Just work and stop complaining." Yes, that's right. Logan shows his true colors as a psychologically abusive husband. He hurls insults like you'd see in a drama. I start to feel foolish for all the effort I've put in for Logan so far. My sister-in-law, who has been watching all this, says, "Well, whatever, we're going on that trip. Fighting won't solve anything. We're leaving, so make up already." I can't take it anymore. I can't stand how he's dependent on his mother and sister. I want to cherish those who cherish me, but I don't need to cherish Logan or his family anymore. My feelings have cooled off so much, it's like I've been dreaming this whole time. I don't want to go on a trip with someone I dislike so much. If your family is so important to you, I want a divorce. There's no point in being together anymore. Let's divorce just like Lily suggested. I can't think of any other way, I say. Fine. Let's talk about it seriously after the trip. For now, the trip is the priority. This is getting nowhere. I don't want to go on this trip anymore. I decide to give in and let his family have their way. When I tell Logan, he says, "I knew you'd understand. That's why you're my wife. I'll buy you a souvenir. You probably want some time alone, too. Just relax." Logan is excitedly calling his mother-in-law. His joyful laughter irks me. But that's okay. I've made up my mind. I contact the hotel and change the reservation to Logan's name. I even managed to change it to a trip for 3 people on the day of the trip. I take a day off to see them off. The 3 of them leave completely excited. They even bring suitcases for just a 1-night, 2-day trip. I can't help but laugh at the sight. Now, I'm super busy. I have a life-changing task to accomplish in these 2 days. First, I move all of Logan's belongings to a rented storage unit. I'm a minimalist, so I don't have a lot of luggage. I get help from a friend at work, and we finish in less than 2 hours. Now Logan has no reason to come back. This condo is in my name, bought when I was single. I never want to let him in again. The locksmith I'd booked arrives. In just over an hour, Logan can no longer enter the house. I've also consulted with a lawyer named Mason about divorce. I bring audio evidence of the psychological abuse, and Mason says, "This is a guaranteed win. Please let me represent you." I don't have to be directly involved in the divorce talks anymore. And here's the funny part. Logan and his family somehow think the hotel is prepaid. I never said it was. I had only made the reservations. I even ordered a fancy cake and champagne, planning a surprise for our anniversary. Of course, all of it was to be paid at checkout. They must have had a blast thinking it was all prepaid. Like a Last Supper. The next day. As expected, my phone won't stop ringing around checkout time. I ignore it, all within my expectations. I'm amazed at the audacity of his family, staying at a luxury hotel with no money. I can almost see the Logan family turning pale at the bill, and eventually they end up in police custody. I wash my hands of it. I have one last gift for this troublesome family. I mail the divorce papers and the key to the storage unit to Logan's family home. Not a single item of Logan's remains in my condo. My cozy space from a year ago is back. I prepared before anyone else, foreseeing that the divorce would be contested. Mason will handle everything. Eventually, his family scrapes together enough money to pay for their luxury trip and get released. They were already poor, and this just made it worse. When they returned, they kicked my condo door, and my neighbor called the police. Given that we're in the middle of divorce mediation due to psychological abuse, Logan gets slapped with a restraining order. His family can't afford a legal battle, so they quickly agree to the divorce. I also claim compensation in the divorce proceedings due to the psychological abuse. And just like that, I'm single again, easier than I thought. His family seems to be relying on my ex-husband's income for a while. He probably couldn't quit gambling. Their problems continue. Logan, who couldn't hold a job, often overslept and took days off, which is unacceptable for an adult. When I pointed it out, he silenced me, saying he's prone to mental illness. That made me shut up, yet he had the nerve to argue with his boss and quit. His sister is also unemployed for some reason. They're struggling financially more than ever, refusing welfare and accumulating debt. I even saw a menacing guy lurking around their home recently. It felt like a scene from a movie. As for me, I'm stress-free and doing well at work. I can cut corners on housework since it's just me. Financially, I'm better off post-divorce, which was unexpected. And I even got promoted to supervisor. It's a challenging job with responsibilities, but I enjoy it. I wasn't planning on dating for a while, but I started seeing Caleb, a doctor who had been a confidant before my marriage. Unlike someone I know, Caleb is financially and emotionally stable. But now, I'm extremely cautious about marriage. One thing's for sure, dating apps aren't for me. I still believe in natural encounters. Looking back, I'm grateful and thankful that they took that trip from me.